prevent it? Well, it's been speculated, and I think it was necessary that we call upon you, people in at the level of the ANC. What is this thing we're hearing about your political leader coming in country, refusing to follow health regulations on ground? What is the actual story with respect to Mr. Alexander Cummings?
And so the actual and empirical facts that surrounds Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings of the ANC entry into the Republic of Liberia have been mismanaged by a particular radio station with an intent, and putting politics in such a pandemic at this crucial and crisis point in our country, it is quite unnecessary, and decorating it with lies in order to favor a particular situation. It is also embarrassing, to the general welfare of the Liberian people, to the standards set by the National Public Health Institute of Liberia and the government as a whole. I think it further undermines the essence of the fight against the coronavirus, especially so when it comes from a radio station owned by the deputy NSA director in person of Sam Sion, with its host Sekou Sharif, who called me yesterday to ascertain as to whether Mr. Cummings was in country. And being true to the call, I did not know that Mr. Cummings was in country at the time, and I provided him the information that I did not know, and he said that he was in country and he was seeking preferential executive treatment in terms of quarantine. And then I told him I did not know, but I would try to ascertain the information, which I could not have lied because I never knew. And so respectfully too, I called him back when I got the information that Mr. Cummings had gone to the board meeting in Accra, and the incubation period between Accra and that of Monrovia, he was looking at the flight schedule and some of the decisions that have been run global in terms of cancellation of flights. He wanted to be back home, anxious to be home with his people, and so through consultation with the health authority, he was again given the go-ahead that he can arrive and go through the protocols, which he did willfully, and was informed that an option of self-quarantine was a possibility. But again, it comes with other postulates that the National Public Health Institute must go and verify at the home. And so until they got at his home, then another call came in between, and that call was referred to as a call placed from high above that required him to go to one of the quarantine facilities. And willfully too, with humility, he also drove there and got quarantined. On the flip side, last night, Sekou started to post that Mr. Cummings had refused to be quarantined and started to spew those innuendos into the public. And he was sat on the radio this morning without even mentioning for once that Mr. Cummings had been quarantined at Palm Spring Resort. He did not know anything. He had almost 2-hour talk show. Some of us tried to make the clarification. We could not be given chance. Our Vice Chair Bashu made an intervention. Anthony Lawrence Swire of the Mobilization Committee made an intervention. You were interrupted. The Grand Bassa County Chair made an intervention. You were interrupted. And so the facts were not given to the people as should have been given to the people. Mr. Cummings is doing fairly well at the Palm Spring Resort. He's concerned about the health workers who are making tireless efforts to intervene in the crisis situation, especially so lacking some of the necessary things that should make that movement easier. Those are concerned that we Liberians we should hang around than politicizing.
What do you think? What do you think one would like to politicize this issue, especially linking your political leader that he had refused? Where do you think the information is coming from directly? That yes, in fact, it's been broadcast allegedly, like you said, because I did not follow up on any of the media institutes.
have an equivocation of guilt, somebody should be able to pay for some level of collective guilt. I think that was the reason why
And so
people, Sekou in particular, and I felt that it was disingenuous to the media ethics, because if you call me and ask me what I should play, what I can quote you, and I say yes, you can quote me, and you veer from the facts.
So what did you actually say to him? Because
so what I said to him, because when I ascertained the information that Mr. Cummings had come from Ghana, like he informed me that he was at the airport and he had gone through the protocol as was expected of anybody. He was also given an option as to whether to be quarantined, self-quarantine, or quarantine at one of the facilities. That was an information given by the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, and he chose the one that could be done at his home. They got there, and they received a call higher than other calls or for the higher ups, and they said that he should go
from health authorities, or you say higher ups. What do you mean?
It was just mentioned higher ups.
Oh, so the health authorities on ground at the airport inform you that they receive calls from higher ups.
Yes, they have already come to town.
Okay,
and then proceeding to his facility that he would have been self-quarantined as an option. I mean, which is normal in globally. Football team have been self-quarantined.
Okay, yeah.
Former presidential candidate have been self-quarantined. I mean, it's a global thing. People have been self-quarantined around the world. So Liberia is no exception.
So Mr. Cummings chose to be self-quarantined.
Yeah, it was what the health authority gave you as an option, which he chose.
Yeah, okay.
All of a sudden, it was changed, and then he did not go against what.
Allegedly, it was changed based on higher up.
Yeah,
according to you.
Yeah. Okay. So, and he abides respectfully, and today he's at the facility, and he has encouraged his executive members that he's doing fairly well, and I mean, things are good. The reception for the health workers, I mean, it is quite welcoming, and the challenge that they are going through, it should be a challenge of all Liberians concerned, and we should move away from the political aspect of it. Okay. And we are only involved into the political aspect of clarification. Because
so he thinks, is it that he thinks that it is being politicized in recent times, especially with the call coming from higher up?
Look, the history of the whole entire coronavirus is when it started, we asked for people who were positive to be relieved of job. We were the first group of people as a political institution to ask for teachers, I mean for schools to be closed, and good enough, the leader of the country had listened to the Alternative National Congress, which we also appreciated him for listening to the call of the people by closing schools and taking some decision. So from all indication, we are willing to abide, and Mr. Cummings has always been willing to abide. So the manipulation of him not abiding, I thought that the media person of Sekou would have been placing call to the health authority to ascertain what was Mr. Cummings' refusal, if there were any. But to just come up from the blue sky and cook up a story in order to make this whole epidemic, I mean, political and score political points out of it, I think it was unfounded, it was uncalled for, and it was just uncivilized on the character of Mr. Cummings for Sekou to have gone the way he went this morning on Freedom FM. He had been doing many times laying wildcat allegation, which we would not consider. But on the pandemic, we cannot play politics with it. Okay. It involves everybody's lives.
So Mr. Cummings is doing well at his quarantine area.
Yes, he's doing good.
Okay.
And he's responding.
And so he's going to just spend up the time and then.
Yeah. So there are. We know the regulations. We all know the regulations. The 14-day incubation period. We know that he's supposed to be there at a certain period of time, and he have to be observed. You know, and if many of our leaders, many of our business tycoons that have been alleged of entering into the country without going through this process were doing what he's doing, I think we will be fighting coronavirus by a large extent.
You think it still has a political nature?
I don't see any political nature. I just see it as a form of leadership, as a way of raising the bar, and as a way of setting the example that people will now say, oh, hey, I mean, the major fight against coronavirus is to be informed adequately. That's the first step. Then the second step is to put into place all of the protocols that can help safeguard you, distancing you from other persons, and taking the treatments, the preventive treatments that will have you safe. Those are the things that we are out to do. It is nothing about politics. But again, you know, when a politician name is mentioned, and when someone has an ulterior motive to spin negative propaganda against that politician, it is obvious too.
What are you thinking on doing in that direction, especially with the journalist?
No, we are not thinking. Look, democracy, they say the voice of the will of the majority will be filled, the voice of the minority should be heard.
Okay.
I mean, our responsibility as a political institution is to explain the facts. And so when we were able to corner him this morning, in as much as he was amateur in his process, but we were able to communicate with him that he doesn't know where Mr. Cummings is, and Mr. Cummings has been quarantined. So those are the kind of information we want to get out to the people. That he has set example, he has raised the bar, the ceiling is way up there. So every official of government, business tycoon, politician should understand that he must go through the regulatory process set by the National Public Health Authority of our country.
And so ANC is not deterred by what was said today?
Not at all. That is why our team have been on Saturday. Our team was led by Phoebe Henrins, have been in the community trying to distribute buckets, and it was not for political gains. We have started this thing way back as a political institution. 2012, when there was a fire outbreak in West Point, we were there with the late Geraldine Doe Sharif distributing clothing to young people. 2014, when there was Ebola in this country, we were in Gantad with our Senator Kennedy distributing beddings to the Gantad and disposable materials when Gantad Hospital had gone out of materials. Absolutely. So we are committed to doing what is positive and what can enhance the movement, the agenda of government. In as much as we want to contest to champion the cause of the Liberian people, we still have a moral responsibility while we are struggling to get the approbation of the Liberian people to also serve them. And that is what we will keep doing. And at this pure, it is not about politics, it's about how we can provide to our people. Look, Obel, all of the health regulatory mechanism that have been spelled out, there's something still missing in it.
Okay.
What about the stimulus, the national stimulus program that should help to reduce the burden placed on our people who will have to stay home and resolve the incubation period or the period specified by the National Health Authority? What happens to that? Okay. Will we want to compare what the package looks like for Italy to that of America? No, we will not anticipate that. But we will think that national government will be innovative to listen to us from the ANC, like they listened to us and took the right decision to close school, to see reason to reduce gas price, so that those passengers that used to ride 4 in the back to come from Ganta and convey themselves to Monrovia, that the extra burden will not go on those passengers, because extra 2 persons will be getting down from the car, and so the drivers will have to share the cost on the other passenger that will ride in the car. We should be thinking about innovative ways. Now they took up they increase the tariff on GSM company and internet. How can we campaign about the virus distant away from our colleagues, people in the hinterland? How can we call them to encourage them to take the rightful measure? So those tariffs on the telecommunication must drop, so that our people can afford to communicate, since they will be home with their family members, and on the internet to see some of the positive steps that have been taken by countries that have been victimized as a consequence of this virus, so that we can be able to tackle it and be prepared for it.
So that's what ANC proposing to government.
Of course.
Gasoline, a reduction in tariff.
That's a valid point, that we should have a stimulus to enhance the stay home of people. You cannot say people should stay home and the rest price quadruple or even increase than what the normal price was when there was no COVID-19 in the country. We can't do that to our people. So if rice price had been 2,000 and I learned that rice price in Uganda is 3,000. When I was in Uganda a week or 2 ago, rice price way in my hometown was 3,000. So rice have increased in Uganda from 2,900 to 3,000, it is scary, especially so when we are encouraging people to stay home. People in West Point do not have cassava farm in West Point. Their only hustle ground is to come to Central Monrovia to either do the Yana boss selling things in order to acquire, to get some money to be able to sustain themselves. If they are required to stay home, obviously one must understand that some of the prices on commodity must drop in order to make livelihood accommodating for our people. That is all we are saying. We understand the government going to the constraint.
And we've been having a bad economy before the coronavirus. And so
that is why some of us have been saying time without numbers, whether the past ruling establishment in President of the former governing unity party or this current government, that we must escape from the dreadful and appalling condition of corruption. We must learn to save, because there will always be challenging movement in the life of a man. Even in your home, you save because you know there will come a time that it will not just be easy. So we have reached the point that Liberians also need aid from our country through the resources that have been generated. Most of the time people say, what do you do for your country? It is equally, it is an equal proportion.
Okay.
That at this point in time, the country has got to cater to our people to an extent. Because if the country is unable to cater to our people, and the people are requested to stay home to avoid the spread of this virus, and they cannot get their meal, they are definitely going to come out. That is going to be, it's just a nature thing.
Okay. So you want government to work out the modalities to curtail people coming out, or prevent people from maybe coming out or on ground that will coming to farm food and this, that.
Of course. I mean, you go in the market square, for instance, you see how the market square is jam-packed. Those are things that we should educate people about. That, I mean, though we have to survive, but at the same time, we've got to be conscious. Look, in America, people are all indoors. Gymnasiums are closed. Sports centers are closed. And those are the people who are sophisticated with good hospitals,
and we have
good facilities.
Ours, yeah, as well.
Ours have been most of our leaders, most of our officials of government have been escaping to even go to our hospital. Phoebe Hospital have been complaining about a couple of times how they are going through serial financial hiccups in order to fuel generator. They try to be as professional as possible to send out the information. So imagining when we have a situation like what happened in Italy, 793 persons dying in a day's time. I mean, it is quite scary. So we as a country must build the courage to take some of the good decisions that will help our people to be safeguarded along the tragic period. And this has got nothing to do with politics. Yes, we, from the political background, we always want adequate disclosure. You have your bucket with your name on it and what have you. But what is key about it is that those buckets should be made available to the community. The community should be aware that this virus kills, and the season we are about to get in is a season that is more vulnerable, and is the season that this virus survives in the best, other than our dry season. And so we need the publicity, we need the education, we need everything possible to make our people to be conscious of this virus.
And so the ANC will be doing just that as well. Do we expect to see that intensifying in 2 counties now being named at affected counties in country Margibi and Maserado counties?
Yes, so we'll be doing just that. I mean, there is nothing that surpasses what the government have said as with respect to the issue of the pandemic. And so we are committed to helping the government in whatever direction possible that we can see that this coronavirus can be kicked out of the country. And that help have been led by Mr. Cummings, who had agreed to be quarantined, and we want to appreciate him and all those who have agreed to be quarantined. That's one aspect. The next aspect is where we are following the social media. Like I saw a lady who complained, showing the bathroom, showing how she's not getting the proper care. I mean, she can't get water. There is no pipe bomb water, And you know, the fight against corona, water is an essential element to the fight against corona. And she complained. I don't know whether some of you saw that video. The driver to Blaman, he had a situation that he said that he sat in the ambulance for 6 hours, and so Sekou they have to understand all these things that people are saying. This is not a makeup of us. That the guy was so annoyed, and it was good that the intervention of Pram FN, Kevin had to call him and drill him through the different questions, and he was honest to say the facts. And so we have to help one another as a country to overcome this nightmare. We cannot afford to politicize it. Our people are not interested in the politics of this thing. Our people are interested how you can pass leaflets around the community, how you can talk to some young people who gather most of the time, how we can leave the drinking spots and concentrate about this thing, how we can have our devotion home and be prayerful about how this thing can be dealt with. Remember that we are able to go to our worship center. That's our last hope. When we have lost hope in everything, our worshiping is our last hope. So if we cannot go there, then it means that we cannot make any kind of politics out of this thing here. We must fight it together, and remain committed in fighting it together. That is the position of the Alternative National Congress, which we will remain committed to in fighting the coronavirus, along with the health workers who are tirelessly making efforts. Leaving their homes, abandoning their children in order to make sure that all of us survive and this be a history, and I will smile while explaining the history after this period.
And so the ANC is also concerned about